We're good to go.
Okay. Gemini Electronics has grown rapidly and achieved a domain position in U.S. television markets. However, increasing competitive, rapid technology change, and also tightening financial conditions now require the company to make a critical strategic choice. This presentation evaluates Gemini financial position and recommended the most sustainable growth strategy going forward. And our group 5, Jacob, John, Rose, and Frank, we will present about the Gemini growth options. I will begin with a brief overview of Gemini Electronics and its in-depth context, then assess the company's financial position, evaluate strategic growth option, and conclude with the recommended path forward. So why the decision matters? So when here we can say Gemini's growth strategy must align with its financial reality. So before recommending the expansion, we must first understand who Gemini is and what stands financially and what it can afford to do. So here we can say Gemini Electronics was founded in 2002 by Dr. Frank Wang and is focused on CAD training electronic engineer with deep understanding. And unlike many competitors that outsource products into the Asian, but Gemini was intentionally built US-based electronic manufacturer, and also the company strategy focused on just-in-time production, allowing to reduce logistic costs, minimize inventories, and respond quickly to retail demand. Gemini initially specialized in large screen LCD television for the North American markets and sold primarily through major big box retail such as Costco, Walmart, and Target. And we can see the company public in the 2004. Gemini also's value proposition combine American-based manufacturer with advanced automation and strong R&D capabilities, while labor costs were higher than in Asia. So Gemini offers us these disadvantages through lower shipping costs and also faster delivery times, reduced inventory requirement for the retails, and fewer production damages. So here we already know Gemini's history and also the background so far. And then the next step we will give to our team member, John, and he will explain and work through with SWOT analyze and to the highlight Gemini key strengths, weakness, and opportunity and strengths.
Hi, I will provide an overview of Gemini's SWOT analysis. First are Gemini's strengths. Gemini's LCD TVs are made with competitive quality and are made in America. Gemini should market their American quality to be competitive in the industry. Next, Gemini has large amounts of cash on hand. Their strong cash position provides the opportunity for financial stability, and having this large balance can provide Gemini protection for uncertain times. Next, Gemini's research and development production has recently expanded by purchasing American patents and opening a new facility at California Institute of Technology. This will prepare them to be leaders into the future. Although Gemini is a strong corporation, they feature some weaknesses. The first is debt. Gemini relies heavily on debt. They have a large loan with Wells Fargo, and this is leading them to too much unnecessary risk. This loan with Wells Fargo is backed on the expectation of an unreasonable amount of inventory on hand. They have way too much inventory sitting in their warehouses, which is very risky. Next is their profit margins. Foreign manufacturers are cutting prices, which is thinning Gemini's profit margins. They need to find ways to lessen the inventory to grow profit margin. Gemini has several opportunities on the horizon. Their first is global expansion. Gemini is a strong corporation in America, but they have a potential to expand into other countries. Dr. Wang is considering expanding Gemini's product line to feature more innovative products in the TV industry. Gemini also has the opportunity to acquire several other tech companies to use their resources to grow as a company. Gemini also has several threats that they must prepare for. First is price competition. Many competitors in this industry often sell similar products for cheaper prices and have smaller profit margins as they are a larger company. Gemini also must be wary of tech changes. The products Gemini manufacture may become outdated, and the new technology may control the market. This is why Dr. Wang is looking at becoming more innovative. Lastly, the foreign supply chain is a complicated market and has risk through instability or tariffs through governmental agencies. Next, Jacob will give an analysis of the financials.
Thank you, John. I'm going to walk through financial analysis of Gemini. Gemini's seen incredible sales growth over the last 5 years. In 2005, their sales were about $2 billion, and they quickly ballooned to $13.7 billion in 5 years. That's pretty remarkable, and that's a growth of 537%. Now, with this growing sales, one would expect that net income would rise and grow at a similar pace, but we see that's not the case. From 2005 to 2006, net income grew very quickly by 201%. However, in the following years, we see that growth starts slowing down. And from 2008 to 2009, it actually declined by 8.7%. If we take a look at the company's margins on the next slide, we can see a clearer picture as to why that is the case. With each margin from gross, operating, and net, we can see that profitability peaked around 2006%. Gross margin was 42%, operating was 18.5%, and net was 10.3%. If we take a look at net margin, we can see that from 2006 to 2009, net margin was cut nearly in half. And while the industry average is 3.32%, and the 5.7 is well above that, we question why profitability is shrinking by that much. Now, there's several factors that have attributed to this decline in profitability. The first is interest expense. In 2005, the company was paying $53 million in interest, and in 2009, they paid $329 million. Second, and probably most importantly, the company's been handcuffed by the collateral covenant imposed on them by Wells Fargo. And Frank will walk through some solutions that Gemini can explore.
All right, thank you, Jacob. Moving on to recommendations for Gemini. So I'm going to walk through the strategic recommendation for Gemini Electronics using the Ansoff matrix as our framework. And after reviewing Gemini's financial position and competitive environment, our group really narrowed our focus to product development. This strategy allows Gemini to grow while controlling risk. And we avoided strategies like aggressive diversification because they require higher capital investment, as well as an increase in operational complexity, which does not really align with Gemini's current financial constraint. So to understand why we made this choice, it's important to look at Gemini's financial context. So Gemini operates under a strict bank covenant that Jacob already mentioned that actually requires inventory and accounts receivable to equal to 200% of its line of credit. So they're really handcuffed to that. And this requirement really directly affects the operations where Gemini is forced to hold inventory longer than optimal, which creates opportunity costs and reduces flexibility. At the same time, the company must pay suppliers within 12 days, which put additional pressure on cash flow. And together, these constraints limit Gemini's ability to pursue high risk or capital intensive strategies. So as for the product recommendation, given those constraints in the previous slides, our primary recommendation is to instead entering a new product categories. Gemini should focus on improving and innovating on its current offerings. This case shows that Gemini already has prototypes of smart and internet-enabled TVs and believes it can bring 3D televisions to market within 18 months. And this indicates strong internet or internal R&D capabilities. By investing in these technologies, Gemini can stand competitive against foreign manufacturers, while leveraging its existing production systems and expertise. So here are some financial rationales on why product innovation. Doesn't that spend a lot more money that you're constrained by your bank? Well, that's not likely the case. So this strategy also makes sense financially in a way where product development allows Gemini to use its existing manufacturer assets and distribution channels, as well as supplier relationships. That reduces the need for new inventory systems or entirely new supply chains, which will increase their cost. And most importantly, it minimizes additional strain on working capital because Gemini is already constrained, like we mentioned before, by inventory and account receivable requirements. Staying within this current product category helps maintain compliance with banking covenants and supports more predictable cash flows. So in conclusion, the most reasonable path forward for Gemini is to really prioritize product development. This approach aligns with the technical innovation with financial discipline. Also, by focusing on improving this core product, strengthening its position in existing markets, and avoiding high-risk diversifications, Gemini can remain competitive today while positioning itself for sustainable and long-term growth. That sums up our presentation. Thank you everybody for watching, and here is the reference that we're using.